This week, I 3D printed Rose's ring from Star Wars The Last Jedi. Hi everyone, welcome back to the City Aperture channel. My name is Jose and I go by City Aperture. And I'm back with a new project, which is a 3D printed project. This week I 3D printed the ring that Rose has in Star Wars The Last Jedi. It's actually the one that the iris opens up and reveals the little logo in there. And I actually downloaded this from Thingiverse. It's made by a great guy named Ali. I met him. I got a chance to meet him a few weeks back at the East Coast Rap Festival. He goes by Potent Printables. I'll put his card up here. I'll have a link to his stuff in the description. But yeah, he made this file of the ring that works. You know, the little iris opens and closes. And he also gave me some of the little screws that you need in order to do it. You can see the tiny screws. There's just two that left over when I met him, so I could 3D print it. So I decided to go ahead and 3D print it. I'll show you guys how I went about it, so you can do it yourself, because this is a lot of fun to do. Took a while because I had to do a lot of sanding. See the finish of the ring there. You don't see any print lines. But yeah, we'll just get right to it and then we'll talk after. After downloading the files was to 3D print them. I 3D printed them on my Monoprice Maker Select using this bronze filament that I had. Whole process I did it in 2 steps. Took about an hour and a half each, maybe a little more than that, maybe 2 hours each. Once I had it printed, I started the process of sanding the ring itself, the ring part itself. Because I did want to get nice and smooth, even though I did a pretty nice high resolution print. There's still a lot of print marks and I just don't like seeing them in a finished piece, so started sanding. Once I was done, well, I took a break from the sanding to start putting together the iris piece. And here you see the screws that I got from Ali when I met him at the Rap Fest. And, you know, just an easy step of having to put the screws through the lower ring through the shutters, and then the screws go into the upper part of the ring, the part that you actually see. And that was simple enough. The screws went right into I threaded them through the irises and then screwed them down into the upper ring part. All went together pretty quick. The issue I found, though, was that it was a bit tight because the screws were threading through the shutter parts themselves. It didn't turn open very easily, so I grabbed my tiny drill bits that I have. I use this for making earrings and stuff. And I decided to drill through the shutters themselves so that the screws would no longer be threading them. So basically the screw would be loose inside the hole of the shutter. So I drilled them all out and then I put it all back together. And this time you can see here the screws go right through the shutter parts. So the shutters can move freely. Once those were all in, then I put the upper ring on top again and I had to screw them through. So it was just a matter of tightening them down. Now the tightening you gotta mess with a little bit. You know, at one point I tightened them too much and the shutters wouldn't move freely. So I had to loosen them a little bit. But yeah, just a little back and forth. And once you have them all tight, you'll see that the shutter opens and closes rather freely. It moves nicely. Yeah. Nice and easy. Right. Then I went back to the ring part. This point I sprayed it with a filler primer, and then the high spots I could see where there were some holes, so I used a little filler and sanded all that back down again with various grits. Once I had it to a finish I liked, I sprayed the gold paint on it, and here you can see the gold finish for the paint. You can see how nice and shiny it was. Almost too shiny, which I weathered it later. Then I had painted the logo red, and I just needed to paint the top part of it so that you would see the white Rebellion logo and you see it through the iris. This is the part you see through the iris. Those were all ready. I put a little bit of a finish coat on it, and it was time to assemble. I mixed a little 5-minute epoxy to attach the logo to the ring part itself. Just a little bit at the bottom. I had scratched up the back of the logo so that the 5-minute epoxy had something to grab onto as well. Let that dry, and then I came back with a little bit of just my favorite super glue. Went around the rim of the ring, making sure that it stayed in the bottom so that when I pressed down on the iris part, it wouldn't get in the functioning pieces of it. And here you have it, the finished ring. The shutter opens nice and easy, opens and closes, no problem. And yeah, just a couple of shots of it being done. Really happy with it. I added some weathering after I had put it all together, so it didn't look too clean. I like my pieces to look like they've been used, so that was the point behind this. Really happy that this turned out. There you go, guys. That's how I made my ring from Star Wars The Last Jedi. It was a fun project to do, easy to do actually. Ali's done all the hard work. Again, that's Ali from Potent Printables. I'll have his link below. Check out his stuff. He does, all of his designs have some sort of functionality, like the ring, that has the iris that opens and closes. But yeah, check out his stuff. He gave me, when I met him, he gave me this little, it's a top that has little stands to it. It's pretty cool. But yeah, check out his stuff. And print it, the hardest part, sanding it so that it's nice and smooth and you don't see any print lines on it. That's the hardest part, but yeah, check it out, and hopefully you enjoyed this. If you did, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, and come back next week for some more projects. Might be Star Wars, might be Star Trek like it was last week, but yeah, come back, we'll have some more projects. If you guys like this project, then maybe you'll enjoy the podcast that I do with my two colleagues, Claudia and Ray. We discuss purpose-driven design, making, and manufacturing. We talk about architecture. We talk about all sorts of making. We have a project of the week. So yeah, please check it out. Again, it's called The Made Podcast. Thanks so much.